All right, folks. Well, listen. That's it for our regular stuff. But we're gonna take a few minutes now and just interact with you. Take some of the questions you're posting on the chat board for us to use on the show. Crystal Lee's been monitoring the chat board over there, talking to you guys. So, Crystal Lee, what's interesting in the chat board?
There's lots of stuff interesting going on in the chat board today, and I know this one you're going to be really excited about because more than 7 users have commented on this, and you guys have disabled my comments because you're commenting so fast. So I'm trying to go as quick as I can. But the users want to know, what are your thoughts on Idris Elba as John Stewart?
You know, this is an issue that we've addressed a couple of times on the show, and I'm going to say something that I know isn't going to be popular, but it's the truth, and I owe you the truth. And the truth is, no. And not because Idris Elba isn't one of the world's best actors. He is. I'll buy Idris Elba in anything. But I don't want a John Stewart Green Lantern. I don't want a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. I don't want a Guy Gardner Green Lantern. I don't want Fousey McHillybilly playing Batman. There is one Green Lantern to me. The quintessential Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. That's who Green. Now I know for a very short window in our history, there was a cartoon show that had John Stewart as Green Lantern. I think there was a Kyle Rayner incarnation for a while too as Green Lantern. So in the comics, there's a Guy Gardner Green Lantern. There's lots and lots of Green Lanterns. To me though, and it's cool if you have a different opinion, that's fine. But to me, there is a quintessential Green Lantern, and that is Hal Jordan. And if you're going to continue in the movie universe, you don't go with some, short-lived, in the grand scheme of things, short-lived, some short-lived guy who's Green Lantern and John Stewart. You don't go with Guy Gardner. You don't go with Kyle Rayner. You go with Hal Jordan. That's who it should be. That's who it should always be. That's just the same way that when I don't want to ever see a Batman Beyond movie, besides the fact that no one's ever going to go to watch a Batman Beyond movie, the people want to see Bruce Wayne as Batman. When people hear Batman, they think Bruce Wayne. He's the quintessential Batman. Sure, other people have been Batman in the comics. You know, you had Azrael was Batman for a while. Dick Grayson himself was Batman for a while. There have been different times, sure. But when people hear about a movie about Batman, they want Bruce Wayne. When I hear a movie about Green Lantern, I want Hal Jordan. That's just my opinion. Schnepp, would you be up for a John Stewart? Not talking about the Daily Show.
Sure. No. Regardless.
The Daily Show host as John Stewart
as John Stewart. Now that you brought it up, in the all comedy version of Green Lantern with Jack Black in it as well, and Robert Schmeigel's got to direct it. So yeah, you know what? I would be totally down with having John Stewart and Idris Elba as John Stewart, simply because they already did the Green Lantern movie, and it was not what we wanted. It was Hal Jordan. It was a pretty bad film. Sure, you could reboot it just like the Hulk movies have been rebooted, keep getting a new Bruce Banner until it works. Now we've got one, Mark Ruffalo, so maybe they'll do a Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo. But why not? That's what I would say. It's like with a character that a lot of people are not as familiar with, Green Lantern, a lot of people know who Bruce Wayne is. If you say, who's Bruce Wayne? Oh, he's Batman. Right. If you said, who's Hal Jordan, be like, is he part of the One Direction? Is he one of those guys? He's doing synchronized dancing? It's like, a lot of people won't know who Hal Jordan is, so I say why not? I'd be totally cool with it as long as Guy Gardner. I don't want to see him, so I'll call it a no at that. So.
Dennis, what do you think?
I mean, I'm not as familiar with the Green Lantern history. I know there's a bunch of different Green Lanterns. I know Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner, they were Green Lanterns at the same time. Mm-hmm. Was John Stewart a Green Lantern at the same time that Hal Jordan was?
Nope.
No, okay. Because otherwise I would say, okay, you could have a Hal Jordan Green Lantern movie, but he could have Idris Elba as John Stewart, as a side character.
But you could
like
still do that if they eventually decided to do Justice League. Be like, Hal Jordan's off in Quadrant 11 with the International Super Guardians of the Green Lantern Corps. So John Stewart is on Earth as the Green Lantern of Earth.
But to answer the core element of that question, if you're going to do a Green Lantern with John Stewart, whether it's replacing Hal Jordan or to be alongside Hal Jordan, if you're going to do that, I'm totally down with Idris Elba playing the role.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to stick on the superhero theme, and John Schnepp just touched on this. So, Emmanuel Ribeiro and the Ginger Joker are both asking, why hasn't Marvel made a Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo in the character?
Well, we've kind of addressed this one before, too, and you know what? This is one of those situations where I had to kind of change my tune, because I was jumping up and down, where's my Hulk movie? Ah! Like, I was so angry after Avengers when I heard that there were no plans on the books for a Hulk movie. Like, what are you talking? The Hulk was the best character in the Avengers. He was amazing, blah, blah, blah. Why are you doing this? And then Kevin Feige, and this is a great example of why these guys make millions of dollars, and I do not. Kevin Feige raised a great point. Basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, the best parts about the Hulk were with the Hulk. Bruce Banner was a great character, but if we go to see a movie, he was suggesting, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but what Kevin Feige suggested was, it's a little tricky to make a movie around this character where really everybody just wants to see the Hulk. And understanding that we can only have that Hulk on screen probably for like 20 minutes, and the rest is going to be a Bruce Banner movie. And do we think people want that, or do we think people want a more concentrated level of Hulk and Bruce Banner in another movie like in Avengers, where we can give more of the appropriate screen time to Hulk and have like a 50-50 balance between Bruce and Hulk, whereas you can't do a 50-50 balance between Bruce and Hulk in a bigger motion picture? I think that's the holdup. They're wondering, and plus they've made 2 Hulk films that have done okay, but none of them were big blockbusters. And so I think they're just kind of thinking right now, maybe using the Hulk in other team movies is maybe the way to go. I still want to see it, but I don't know what the right thing to do is. Dennis, you're in charge of Marvel. What do you do?
Yeah, they're gun shy for a good reason, because they already had 2 solo movies with him, and they did, like you said, okay, not amazing. The reception for both of them were only okay as well. I actually liked the second one, the one with Edward Norton.
And me, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's right.
Co-starring John Campea. And so I would look forward to one. I think Mark Ruffalo did a great job with the Hulk, but I do understand their reservations in terms, especially like, he was great in Avengers, but he fit a certain role. So who knows what kind of story they can come up with for a solo movie. I actually really like the Hulk comic. So I think he's a very interesting character, and they can do a lot with him, but I don't know if everyone would be into it, though.
Shep.
I got a chance to see the Avengers with a guy who works at Marvel, and at that time, I was talking with him about before the movie. I was like, "So what's coming up? What are the next movies?" And he told me a bunch of the movies, and I was like, "You guys aren't going to do a Hulk movie?" He's like, "No, no, no." And at that time, when the Avengers came out, it was Guillermo del Toro was doing a Hulk TV series,
right.
and they were in active development. It had the Red Hulk and the Blue Hulk and the Green Hulk and the Rainbow Hulk. It had all the Hulks, so they're all in it. And that, as we know now, is not going to happen. That kind of fell apart. The movie came out. After the movie, Marvel and my friends started whistling a different tune. They were like, you know what? We're thinking about doing a Hulk movie. So they, I think, are going to do a Hulk movie. It's going to be Phase 3, and it's going to be integrated with Avengers characters and the other Marvel universe. Like, as we saw in the Edward Norton Hulk, Iron Man showed up at the end. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's kind of the way to go with a Hulk movie, is bring all these other characters in to try to bust the Hulk, get the Hulkbuster Iron Man suit, get all these other kinds of things. And I love the Hulk. Remember, he had a TV series for 7 years. Bill Bixby wandering around, crying in the corner. Remember that? Like, he was like,
did you ever see the TV movie with the Hulk and Thor?
Yes, and it's horrible.
It was so awesome. It was awesome. I remember laughing so much when I saw it. And then they did one with Hulk and Daredevil.
He's in a ninja suit.
Yeah,
and then had these weird Terminator glasses.
Oh yeah, with I think wasn't the dude who played Sala in Indiana Jones? Didn't he play Kingpin?
With these I just had eye exam glasses, these giant black glasses and a cane. Wasn't bald. He was just floated away in a weird pod at the end. I hated those.
All right, listen. It's 11. Let's take one more quick one. One more quick one.
I got a good one here, and it's not superhero related. Rig Sable wants to know, I just saw an ad for Parkland with Zac Efron and Paul Giamatti, and it's opening very soon, but it's just now that I've heard about it. What's up with the such late marketing?
Well, clearly you're not watching enough AMC Movie Talk. We've talked about Parkland a number of times. It is a smaller film. It's a smaller film, but marketing has been out there. I think an appropriate marketing campaign for the size of film that it is. From a pop culture, talking about superheroes point of view, the most notable thing about Parkland is that Clark Kent, Tom Welling, is actually in the film. I think he's got a small role in the film as one of the Secret Service bodyguards, I think. But the film looks really
Rhino plays Zapruder.
That's right. Yeah, so Paul Giamatti's in there. It's a really good cast, as a matter of fact. I think it's a really interesting story. Zac Efron actually looks really, really good in it. So I'm curious to see how he kind of plays out in that. It's a good-looking film, and I'm curious to see it. What about you guys?
I'm really excited to see it. I think they're, a lot of these movies that they want to bring in for Academy Award nomination, they open them soft, like only in New York or Chicago, a couple theaters, and then they open them bigger and wider. So you'll see a lot more advertisements for it probably at the end of this month as opposed to earlier.
Dennis?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think with these smaller movies or even these medium-sized movies that aren't like big budget blockbusters, there's no need for them to tease them so early, because people have short attention spans, so they're gonna forget about them anyways. But whereas something like Avengers 2, if you tease it early, it's always gonna be on people's minds. No one's gonna get like a teaser of Parkland like a year and a half ago and then remember,
Yeah.
So doing the marketing closer to the release date, I think, is a smart idea.
And don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.